Word on the street is you have to hit rock bottom before coming back up to the top. But what happens when you hit bottom, crash through its surface, and then keep on falling? That's a rhetorical question, so don't waste any of your time answering it. Maybe I was a fool, but this fool just had a revelation. If I dug myself into this hole, then I could dig myself out, especially with a little help from my friends and family. Am I right? Those very ones who remained partitioned on the far side of my self-constructed wall of stubbornness, behind which I'd been sequestered for far too long. I'd fallen into a black hole. It was as if I'd been marooned at its dark centre, trapped inside a rocket ship of remorse, somewhere within a space-time region, like a bug eternally frozen in the hardening ember of its event horizon, unable to move backward or forward from a boundary of no escape of my own making. Yet a handful of scientists studying quantum field theory proposed a hypothesis. They claimed perhaps there was a solution. If one could make it from the point of entry side into the hole, then somehow travel through it to reach the opposite side, one could possibly emerge to escape. It was only a hypothesis, and a real long shot, but now it was all I had left. This was rock bottom, and unless I sunk into death, there was no lower I could go. Ergo, the only direction remaining for me to travel was to go up, and then hopefully break out of my black hole. For the sake of Chris and her daughters, for my friends, and of course for myself, I had to get through this, and I believe I knew just where to begin. I'd speak to my attending physician. When the doctor assigned to my case came by to check in on me that morning, the first thing I asked is when I'd be released from the hospital. Studying the medical chart hanging at the foot of my bed for a few moments, he finally replied, "Barring any unseen complications or setbacks, I believe it would be safe to say by next Wednesday." This was perfect, right on the twins' birthday. A few minutes later, I asked the nurse arriving with my morning medication if she'd mind bringing me my wallet from the admissions desk where it was stored for safekeeping during my stay. After the fiasco that had ensued the night my wife died, I made sure to carry a list containing several emergency phone numbers. From my bed, I dialed the outside line code that was listed on a white sticker adhered to the hospital telephone, then entered Gus's home number. Either the Shantzes were not taking my calls, or else neither of them was at home, because after a few rings my call went straight to voicemail. So I left the following message after the sound of the beep. "Gus, Lorraine, it's Steve. First off, I apologise for everything I've been putting you all through. I don't know how I'll ever do it, but somehow, some way, I will make it up to you both. I promise. Next, you're absolutely right. I can't do this alone, and I need help. I spoke to hospital staff today and they think I'll be back home by next Wednesday. If you're still willing to assist, and I wouldn't blame you if you're not, could you still help with rehab? Next Wednesday's Anya and Noika's birthday, so I'd like to spend a few hours alone with them before I get checked in. But, as I'm sure you'll agree, I should probably get settled in there the same day I get out of here. Please give my love to my girls and Lorraine, and when possible, please call me back. Once I hear from you, I'll call the girls to see if they'll let me take them out for a birthday lunch before going away. Thank you, Gus. I'm sorry I haven't been a better friend for such a long time, but I promise you, with help, I'll beat this." He returned my call before the day's end. Gus told me he was happy to hear my message, and he'd spoken with the hospital staff, who confirmed the green light was still a go for Wednesday. He, Lorraine and Chris's daughters would pick me up that morning, and the recovery centre could check me in early that same evening. Prior to hanging up, my friend said there were 2 people who wanted to speak with me. Then my girls got on the line. "I love you too, and I'm sorry for everything I've put you through since your mother died. It hasn't been easy for anyone, and that's no excuse for my behaviour. I'm sure Dr. Shantz told you I'm being released next Wednesday, and he's made arrangements at the rehab facility for my treatment. I'll enter it that evening, but I wanted to know something first. Since it's your birthday on that day, would you let me take you both out for lunch before checking into the centre? so we can celebrate your first year of adulthood? Please, please let me do this. Please pick any restaurant you'd like. Knowing you've come to your senses about this is the best birthday gift you could give us, Dad. Dr. and Mrs. Shant said they'd drive us to pick you up, and we know the perfect place for lunch. That's wonderful. Why don't I make reservations at where we're going, and if you like, see if the Shantses want to join us? Dad, we want it to be just us there because we really need to talk. But come on, we're old enough to handle making reservations. As that day turned out, I not only had begun to make amends with some of the most important people who were still in my life, but I'd also taken the first step in the long recovery process that awaited me. It would be a step that would not only change my own life, but the lives of those who love me the most.